We don't practice because someone makes us practice. We don't practice for fame or glory. We don't practice to impress anyone or make us feel better about ourselves. We certainly don't practice for money. We practice because we yearn to connect. Connect to the ancestors that built this. Connect to the modern geniuses that inspire us. Connect to our city and our scene and the listeners in the back of the room. But mostly we want to connect to that spark that lives deep within all of us. That spark that wants to be fire. We practice every day to clear a path for that spark. Let's practice together. Welcome to the Daily Guided Practice Session. Let's start with our chromatic scale, 88 beats per minute. Let's get to work. What's up, everybody? I was just getting in the flow of our intro there. It always gets me a little bit amped up. Welcome to today's Daily Guided Practice Session on YouTube. My name is Adam Maness. We're just going to give it a few minutes here as the room fills up with all our latecomers, all our stragglers. I feel those folks. Just while we're waiting here, let me know where you are in the world, and also let me know what you're listening to right now. I need some new music to listen to, so if you got anything good that you've been super into lately, put it in the old chat there or the comments. I want to know. I'm going to make some playlists for the weekend. So we are working on a very cool concept that we talk a lot about here in Open Studio world. And it's root shell pretty with some inner voice movement. It's a very basic structure to form some really solid sounding voicings. We're going to be working with Miles Davis, classic tune, Blue and Green. And we're just going to go over this very simple structure. We're going to break it down to really 4 levels of how to create great sounding voicings at the piano underneath a melody. So even if you're not a pianist, if you can get to a piano for this, I think you're going to find some really valuable information about just a really easy, I don't want to say formula because that makes it sound kind of clinical, but at this sort of basic level, it can be kind of formulaic, and then you can understand some of the nuance of it as we go. But just to start here, there's a very simple structure we can apply over every chord and melody and different levels of complexity for that. So, all right. Oh, we got a lot of people here. Yeah, let me know where you are. Let me know what you're listening to right now. I'm taking some recommendations. What's up? Yao Ming from London, Martin from I don't know where, but Hiromi, Kaleidoscope. We'll check it out. Damien from Ireland and from Germany. Bobby Enriquez. Okay. Never heard of Bobby Enriquez. I'll check it out. Magnus from Stockholm is listening to the Yellow Jackets. Always good idea. Ezra Collective's Footprints. Okay. Oh, this is great. Mojo from Utah is listening to Monk. Always also a great idea. Very funny, Lee. Yeah, that's awesome. What's up, Nick? What's going on? Yeah, intro got me hyped too, Aylin. Thanks for being here. What's up, Martin from Argentina? There you go. DK Sound System in Montreal. What's going on? Michael from Las Vegas. What's up, Nicole? Been listening to L1011. They're not jazz, but it's just nice ambient instrument. I dig nice ambient instrumental music. I'm going to check that out. Thanks, everybody. More Hiromi. Hani in Palestine. What's going on? What's up, Noriko? Double dipping. Oh, Night and the City by Charlie Hayden and Kenny Barron. Yeah, that's an amazing. Charlie Barron, he's got another one with Gonzalo that's just so beautiful. I think it's called Nocturne. Oh, man, it's gorgeous. Keith Jarrett's Budapest concert. Thank you, Austin in Minnesota. Rich is live from Las Vegas. Guys are getting a lot of tension out there, Rich, right now. What's up, Truden from Brooklyn? David from Pacific Palisades, double dipping. Colleen's listening to Bud Powell. Now that is some good listening. I haven't actually spent time with Bud in a minute, so that I might do some of that, Colleen. Thank you. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Joe? Anne's listening to Peter Martin. Always a good choice. What's up, Marie from Connecticut? David's listening to Frank Sinatra at the Sands. I don't know that one. I'll check it out. Hermeto. Yeah. Lars Jansen. Yeah. Good stuff. Chopin. Classic is what we say. Again, we're just giving it a few minutes here, maybe another minute or so as the room fills up. Let me know where you are in the world and what you're listening to, because this is selfish for me. I just want some listening recommendations. Also, so before we get going here, we're doing these very basic chord structures. And so, we love to offer you a bit of a deeper dive on these things. So today only for our YouTube folks, you can save $30 on our most popular course this whole year, Jazz Chords for Beginners. It's sold the most of any Open Studio course, and we're so grateful for that. So Ian's going to put in the chat there a link. It slashes $30 right off the price of that very popular course, Jazz Chords for Beginners, where we deal with this exact subject. So it's very apropos. Cool. Let's get going, y'all. It's time for the guided practice session. We are here to work. I'm going to tell you what to practice and how to practice it. We're going to do a little bit of instruction here today as we're breaking down a very simple voicing concept. It's literally just a bottom-up structure to voice under any melody, but it can also use to be voice under any improvisation either, your own melodies, right? But for this example, we're going to use the classic melody of Miles Davis's Blue in Green. So I want to start with just the most simple version of this and build up complexity and show you how you can apply this very simple formula over any tune, really, and get great sounding, solid sounding voicings and even a little bit of inner voice movement once we get going here. So if we just look here at the melody and the root of this very beautiful tune, it gives us a lot of great information, right? A nice slow tempo. I'm going to go there so you all know. Hey. A little bit of a interesting turnaround there. And we're back at the top. All right. So with just this melody and root, we get a sense of the most important parts of the tune, right? We have the melody and then we have where the bass movement is going. So this is what I want you to use to build up how you think about voicing chords, is what's on top and what's on bottom. It's kind of the first step of how we decide what we're going to do. I want you to play this with me. Let's play through this. Well, I'm going to pick up the tempo just a little bit. It's a little too slow. 2, 3, and play with me. Play what's written here. I'll try to as well this time. All we need, really, to establish what this tune is. Anything in between these notes is kind of up to us. I mean, it's not ultimately like we need to stay true to the form, but everything in between those two things can really be messed with and is up to us for interpretation of how we want to color it, how we want to structure it. So that's the most basic level, just the melody and the root. Now, what if we want to add some more of the important bits of each chord? What are the important bits of each one of these chords? Well, the two notes that really establish what a chord is are the third and the seventh, or the seventh and the third. It doesn't really matter what order we do. It just matters that we have some pretty good voice leading. So what if we then, to our melody and root here, we add the shell, the third and the seventh, right? And I'm going to just put a thing here. It doesn't matter which hand grabs what. So we want to make sure that we're comfortable, right, with our hand shape and the options that we have available, so that we can grab things with our right hand when we need to, left hand when we need to. So it doesn't matter to me how you voice this. What we have here, though, if you notice, is now a bottom-up structure, right? So we have the root on the bottom, and then we're going to have the shell above the root, and then we'll have the melody ultimately on top of that. And with this shell, with the third and the seventh, now we know what chords are minor, what chords are major, if it has a major third or a minor third, or if it has a major seven or a minor seven. It's all determined by the chord changes, but it's now something that we get explicitly in these voicings. Now, just this alone, right? This is only level 2, but this alone will get you very far. Like if you came to a jam session with these voicings, you would be, you know, in good company here. It's good stuff. It's solid stuff. It's really, again, it's like we had just the appetizer with the melody and the root, and now we get the meat and potatoes of the harmony. I'm so down for food metaphors at all times. So let's see what this sounds like with this melody and shell. Let's try sight reading it together. See if you can. No, actually, you know, before we do that, let's just break it down what this is here before we play. I just want to show you exactly what we're talking about here before we even play it. So on this G minor 13, right, we have our root and our melody, and then we have the third and seventh in the middle, B flat and F, right, third and seventh. On our A7, right, we have our root, and then we have our, from the bottom up, root, shell, and melody on top. And then same thing here. I'm going to grab that with my left hand. So I have root and shell in my left hand for the D minor 7, D flat 7, sharp 11. The sharp 11 is actually in the melody. And we have our root and then our third and seventh of D flat 7, right? Major 7, flat 7, or major third, flat 7th. Then our C minor 11. And notice how we split the hands here. It's a little foreshadowing of what's to come. We have our root and shell here, and then our root and shell here. Again, notice how the root and shell melody, it's all structured. There's no shell below the root. There's no shell above the melody. That is more advanced level stuff. It's not off limits, but for the sake of simplicity, right? For the sake of learning this in a easy to understand way, we can actually do this in this structured way. And then once we get more mastery of this, we can then start going over the melody or under the root or not having a root. All of that can be on the table. But first, let's learn it kind of in its simplest form. So our B flat major 7, we have our root, our shell in the left hand, our melody, our A7 sharp 9 again, root, shell, melody. Same thing on the D minor 11, same thing on the E7 flat 13. Again, the flat 13 is in the melody. That C is the flat 13 of E7. A minor 9. And then on our D minor 7, the last chord of the tune, we have our root, our third and seventh, and the melody on top. So that's level 2. Let's do some playing. Play with me. See if you can sight read this. See if you can hear it and notice what's what. When you get to each chord, what's the root? What's the shell? What's the melody? 2, 3, 4. Play with me. All right. So there we go. There's our first version where we really get everything. Let's see if I can't get this. Oh, there we go. Keyboard is not going to touch the camera today, tell you that much. Isn't that great? That's the most simple version of what we need for all elements of the chord and support of the melody. If you're digging this concept, first of all, why not, smash that like button, as we like to say around here, or hit the subscribe, and then check out the link here where we go over this in more depth in jazz chords for beginners. You can save $30 today. We love to offer that. Okay, what if we wanted to add even more color, even more texture to these chords, right? This melody is very beautiful. It's full of very rich, colorful notes. So why not add some more harmony and some more richness underneath with pretty notes? So we define pretty notes around here as usually, it can be almost anything, but usually it's the 9th or the 11th or the 13th or the 5th, or sometimes even the root. But that 9th, 11th, 13th, right? Those upper extensions, that's what we usually consider to be the pretty notes, the juice in the whole thing. So what if we started adding ninths? Again, we're just going to structure this from the bottom up. So we have our root, shell, and then above the shell, we'll put our extra pretty note. So in this case, in the G minor, we'll add that 9, that A, right? Again, you can see how you could do this on every tune. You just start with there, then you add the root, then you add the shell to the root and the melody, then you add some pretty notes, right? So here we have the G minor 13 with that 9 in there. For our A7 sharp 9, we just had this, but what if we added like a flat 13 to this, right? This is kind of an altered scale vibe going here. So it has a flat 13. That F there, isn't that beautiful? So root, shell, 7, 3, and then the flat 13, and then that melody on top. So gorgeous. And then for our D minor 7, let's add the 9. And the same thing here on the D flat 7. And the same thing on the C minor 11. We're just adding the 9 throughout all of these. Check this chord out. What? So here I have the root, the shell, and I added 2 pretty notes because we had room in there to do that. The flat 9 and the sharp 11. This is one of my favorite chords ever. Oh, it's crunchy. It's crunchy like some Kix cereal. Okay, then our B flat major 7 sharp 11. We have our root and shell. Let's add the 9 there below the melody. Our A7 sharp 9, again, that flat 13 sounds great. D minor 11, again, that 9 sounds great. For our E7 flat 13, what if we added the sharp 9, right? This G is the sharp 9 of E7. Sounds awesome, especially leading to this third here in the melody on beat 4, like a little chromatic. For our A minor 7, we could add the 5 down here, right? The E. Again, root, shell, pretty note, melody. For our D minor 11, I added a couple of pretty notes there. The G and then the C, which is doubled because it's already down here, but this fourth shape sounds so nice. So the double doesn't bother me at all there. Cool. Let's play through this. Practice with me. Let's really get into this. See if you can recognize what is what. What is the root? What is the shell? Let's add these pretty notes as we sight read this. And then just think about how you might apply this to other tunes. Ballads are great because it gives us plenty of time to add these chords in. Let's try it. 2, 3, and play with me. Woo, so pretty. Gorgeous. Let's do it again. Just repeat back to the top. Here we go. Man. Shouldn't be this easy. to sound this rich. It's one of the great things about this little system is it applies to any tune. It's just so easy to make great sounding chords. Not a lot of repeated notes, everything you need, lots of color. And then once you get more familiar with this, things like what pretty notes you add, and as we'll see in our next level here, how you move them around really can make a great arrangement. And you can do any level of this. Like if you wanted to just do, you do all this here, but maybe when you get on the D minor 7, you just go back to that root, right? And you add in the various stages of this depending on how you're feeling about it artistically. That's what being an artist is all about. But we need to have some understanding of our options, right, if we're going to make artistic choices. So, what's up? Isn't that terrific? It's so great. So we have, before we get too deep in this, I just want to recap here. We have our root, we have our shell, which is the 3rd and the 7th of each chord. And then above that, we have one extra pretty note that's not the melody, right? So again, if you notice here on these voicings, every single one of them, they're structured like that from the bottom up with nothing going on either side or in the middle of anything else. It's all very much bottom up structured, which I think is so cool. So what if we wanted to add some movement, right? Some counter melodies on the inside. We can do some very restrictive practice where we simply give ourselves a rule, like the pretty note, right? That last thing that we just added, whatever that is, we can add some movement to. We can just move it up or down diatonically, depending on what we want to do. And once we get a good understanding of this, this becomes the most fun that we can have. We can really express ourselves so clearly by just moving some of these pretty notes. So check it out. Right, our pretty note here on this G minor 13 was the 9. Remember that? If I just move it in half steps down to that melody, or down to that root, excuse me, not only is it an interesting counter melody, an inside mover, right? But it adds some time to the situation. So if there wasn't a click here and it was just us, 3, 4, and we didn't have that, right? That's a long time to just hold the chord. So we could add a sense of a 2 feel by moving the pretty note. Now notice the dynamic that I'm doing right? I'm not doing this. I'm doing it very much under the radar, like it's just something happening in the background, because it is. These movers happen in the background. So here on this A7 sharp 9, our pretty note was this flat 13, right? This F. So we just move this up diatonically to the G. A little sense of time there. Now here there's already movement, so I didn't add anything, but check this out. So what I did here was I sussed out this F7, right? I suspended that 3rd up to the 4th, and then I added the 9th here on that. So it's this little E flat triad in the middle, right? Here's the root and the melody, F and D, and I put a little E flat triad. And then we moved it to the chord that we had before, this F7 flat 9 sharp 11. Easy peasy. So again, and it adds some sense of time there. And then our B flat, there's a lot of movement going on in this, so I didn't do anything really. Again, our A7 sharp 9, we have that flat 13 going to the 7. Our 9 to the root here. Our sharp 9 to the flat 9 here. Woo! I love that one. So the A minor 9, the 5th going up to the 6th, which of this A minor 9 is an F, right? If we're doing a Aeolian. So pretty. Like, it's not a Dorian. An F sharp would sound a little out of place, I think, in this key. right? And here this D minor 7. So someone's asking, what do you do when the melody note is the 3rd or the 7th? So right here, the melody note is the 3rd and the 7th. I have no problem having it in both the melody and the root and shell. You could just do one or the other, but especially where this melody is way up high here and the root's, more than 2 octaves below, I don't mind having, right, like this voicing, we actually have 2 3rds and 2 7ths. Pretty common actually to have that in some particular jazz piano voicings. So this doesn't bother me at all. Use your ears. If it starts to get the overtones start to make it sound too thin, like there's too many 3rds, you definitely want to restrict it. If the melody is a 3rd or a 7th, or it's very low, like next to like if it's down here and the root is this C, right? And it's like a C major 7 chord, I definitely don't need to have it then there. That's too much, right? It's too close. But if it's up here, like then I can add it down here. It's far enough away from the root that I think it's okay. That's how you kind of deal with that case by case. Okay, I think you're gonna like this. Let's try playing it. All right. 1, 2, 3, and. Let's do it again. Anytime there are these movements that are a whole step, you can add the chromatic note between too, just like that. B flat major 7. I'm just adding a chromatic step between each of these whole steps here. One more time, you got it. See if you can do this without using the sustain pedal. Work on the control of these fingers. Gorgeous. So pretty. Isn't that great? Again, if you liked what you saw here, please hit the like. It lets us know what kind of content you want to see here on our YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm excited about sharing this concept with you all, especially about the build of it, right? About building it from the bottom up. Really consider that. You have all these options between the root and the melody, and what you put in there is your art. That's what you have to say. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out Jazz Chords for Beginners, where we deal with this very root shell pretty subject in great detail. There's a link that'll slash $30 off of that today only for our YouTube folks. Thanks, y'all, very much for practicing with me today. Great to see y'all. I can't see any of you, but hope everybody's healthy and well and staying sane. I'll be back on Tuesday. Until then, happy practicing. Have a great weekend, everybody.